When OP's partner learns that her partner isn't satisfied with their sex life, she doesn't know what to do when it comes to saving their relationship. To find out how this story ends, get yourself a coffee and grab a bowl of popcorn so we can get into it.
I'm 24. My boyfriend of 5 years is 29, and last week we had a talk about our future. I'm about to finish my college degree and have already got a pretty good job offer, and he's already been full-time for about 5 years. So naturally, a lot of things might be changing in the future. We're talking about renting a big apartment and started to save up some more money. I've also hinted multiple times at wanting to get married, and that I could see myself having children with him within the next 5 years. I honestly couldn't see myself spending my life with anyone else at this point, and he's the most considerate, smart, and just overall lovely guy I've ever met. All my friends also love him, even girlfriends who are skeptical of men and find it hard to trust them. They say that he's like the only man they fully trust. We have shared views on a lot of things, share some similar interests, and do a lot of things together, and whenever there's an issue, we can talk about it. But last week, he confessed to me that he's been unhappy with our sex life. When we started dating, we obviously had a lot more sex, maybe 2 to 3 times a week. But now we have sex like every other week, and there have been busier and stressful times in which we wouldn't have sex for 2 or 3 months. Now, I'd also want to avoid such dry spells in the future, and I think having sex every other week would be perfect for me. So it sucked to hear that he'd like it to be more like 2 to 3 times per week. I don't even know how we would find the time. I also have responsive desire, so most of the time I'm not the one initiating, which he's unhappy about and said it makes him feel undesirable sometimes. I do tell him that I find him sexy and attractive a lot, but according to him, he needs to feel desired through actions more than words. I told him that I'm thankful for him opening up to me and sharing his thoughts, and that I'm going to think about it for a few days because I honestly didn't know what to think or say at the time. I feel like we should be able to find a compromise, but I just find it hard to initiate sex when I'm not in the mood. That said, I also get that constantly getting rejected makes him feel bad. How do other couples handle sexual issues? Do you schedule sex or find ways to build up the mood?
I can fully understand where OP's partner is coming from when he says that he needs to see actions more than words. Anyone can say that they want to do something, but actually doing something is a whole other issue. Going 2 to 3 months without sex this early on in a relationship doesn't look promising for the future. And to me, it sounds like a relationship that's bound to become sexless. Now, with that being said, OP shouldn't feel forced or pressured into sleeping with her partner. It should be something that she wants to do. On the other hand, though, if her partner isn't satisfied with the sexual side of their relationship, and there's no way to remedy it, they might just have to call it quits. Anyway, let's dive into the comments to see what the good people down there are talking about.
Iffy Biz says, I think you need to sit down and really look at yourself and your sexual needs. There's a lot of little things in your statement that add up to you just not having the same level of desire for sex as he does. Going months without sex, being okay with having it once a week, and not being able to fathom how you could fit it in 2 to 3 times a week because your busy schedule doesn't make much sense. There's nothing wrong with having a low libido, but if you do, you need to own up to it and talk to him about it. You think you're busy now. Wait until you both have jobs and have kids. It will get much worse. Do you think he'll be happy? I also noticed something missing from your statement. There was nothing about actually enjoying sex with him. Has it become a chore? It sounds like you're putting up a lot of roadblocks to sex with him, and he's confused and hurt about it. Take some time to figure out why you aren't having more sex. Not the outside busy life that all of us have, but the internal reasons. Attack it this way, ask yourself, when we went out to eat last week, why didn't we order in and have sex? When we watched that TV show, why didn't we turn it off and have sex? When I was studying late the other night, why didn't I take a break? I think if you take a hard look at your schedule, you could easily have more sex, so why don't you? There's a problem there that you aren't admitting to. It could be as simple as having a low libido, but be honest to yourself and him about it. Good luck. Desert Foxhoundo says, To me, it's not a slight incompatibility. He wants it 3 times a week while you would be fine with once every 2 weeks. There's quite a huge gap here. Being busy isn't the real problem because sex doesn't take a long time, and if you love sex, you'll make time for it. The problem is that you have a much lower libido than him. He must be miserable during the 2 or 3 months dry spell, but were you? Frankly, I have no good advice. The gap is such that it's difficult to compromise without one or both of you feeling miserable. Once a week, he'll still be miserable, and twice per week he could accept, but you'll be miserable having sex you don't want. You could try to increase your libido by reading erotica, wearing sexy lingerie, and finding new ways to pleasure each other. Failing that, though, both of you may be happier with partners who you're more sexually compatible with. Remarkable Bread jumps in and says, I came here to say pretty much this. Such a sexual incompatibility could warrant ending the relationship. Personal fulfillment in life is important as everyone needs to make sure their needs are being met. If your needs aren't being met in a relationship, it's kind of time to sit down and assess whether the relationship is viable in terms of serving everyone involved. One other thing to note, OP, is that you say he pretty much just wants to have as much sex as you guys did when you started dating, and you don't. What changed for you since you had sex a few times a week when you started dating? I'd say that if your sex drive just isn't there anymore, you could talk to your doctor about it. But if your libido could be what it used to be, would you want it to be?
While some people see the need for regular sex to be shallow, it's a very important part of a relationship. We only get to live this life once, and sex is one of the greatest pleasures you will ever know. If 2 people are sexually incompatible, finding a more suitable partner is probably the best option for everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Coffee and Popcorn, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.